They love to use it. Endorsements are not science, they're opinion. And often these opinions are based on nothing more than copying the higher authority of the US government. But the gamble that was taken then was that you could damage the growing tooth cells without impacting any other tissue in the body, and the way they protected themselves from the possibility is to not do the studies. You don't do the studies. Anyway, I want them to tell me, what studies have you looked at that have convinced you that nothing else is happening? I very much doubt that they can provide convincing studies. They're certainly not from Canada, because they just haven't done them. Would tonight's proponents please explain if fluoride is necessary for the development of healthy teeth, the level, why is the level in mother's milk so low? I've already referred to that. If fluoride's major benefits are topical, working from the outside of the tooth, which they now concede, fluoride works on the outside of the tooth, not from inside the body. In my view, once they conceded that, that should have been the end of fluoridation. There's these teeth, they're available to you. You've got fluoridated toothpaste. If you want fluoride, brush it on your teeth and spit it out. And make sure you do spit it out. The warning on the American toothpaste is worse than yours. It says if your child swallows more than the recommended amount, contact a poison center. And there were 24,000 people did that in 2007, I think it was. Contacted a poison center because their kids had swallowed the toothpaste. Anyway, why, if your own people have concluded that the major benefits are topical, why expose everybody and every tissue of the body systemically and run the risk that we're going to be talking about later in this talk? To me, it doesn't make sense. I'll tell you what their answer is. Their answer is you have to expose the whole body so that you can get some fluoride into the saliva. And they want you to believe that having a very, very low concentration of fluoride in the saliva does all the magic of protecting against tooth decay. In other words, having conceded that the benefits are topical, they are now arguing that the best way to achieve the topical effect is systemic exposure, to get it into the saliva. Okay, here are the 10 arguments against fluoridation. It's a bad medical practice, it's unethical, it is risky, the benefits are topical, not systemic. North American children are being overexposed to fluoride, not underexposed. We have too much fluoride, not too little. Most countries do not fluoridate their water, and yet their teeth are just as good, if not better, than the countries which do. The evidence of benefit is very weak. This was the surprise to me. I thought at least they'd have one thing on their side. I thought the argument would be very strong evidence that fluoridation actually works, but we would be accepting that and then struggling to show that there are harmful effects that we have to worry about. In fact, what it turns out is that the evidence of effectiveness is extremely weak, as you will see in a moment. I'm going to go through all of these arguments and give you the evidence. There are many health concerns, and here's the key phrase to remember. No margin of safety. If you discover a health effect, you look at this is the typical way that toxicologists work and regulatory agencies use toxicology. You find the lowest observed adverse effect level in your studies, and if it's a human study, you then divide by a factor of 10 to get to a safe level. Because you've got to assume that there's going to be a range of vulnerability in the human population. That some people are going to be 10 times more sensitive than others in the human population. You will never get promoters of fluoridation discussing margin of safety, because they know if you apply an adequate margin of safety to the health data that we have, and by the way, let me make this clear. There's no argument whatsoever that fluoride damages health. It's a known toxic substance. There's no argument. Millions of people in India and China have had their bones wrecked by fluoride, and many other problems as well. This is not in doubt. The only argument is at what level that's happening and what levels we're going to get drinking fluoridated water. That's why this margin of safety argument is so critical. To play around with words like high and low, or you're talking about high levels, Dr. Connett, we're talking about low levels. That's not a scientific way of doing it. You have to quantify it. And the way you quantify it is with this margin of safety analysis. And lastly, the promotion and defense of fluoridation is not scientific. They do not go about this in a scientific way. Promoters successfully intimidate local decision makers. You'll see that happening in this community. I absolutely guarantee it. They will do their darndest to intimidate these people. They'll say to the councillors, you're not dentists, you're not doctors, you're not scientists. Leave this to us. We are the experts. We tell you it's safe. They do it with second-hand endorsements, biased reviews, and exaggerated authority. Okay. Now, the good news is that after 14 years, this was like going to the toilet for me, purging 14 years of frustration into this book. I've now written with two colleagues, two scientific colleagues, James Beck from Calgary, Alberta, and Spedding Micklem from Scotland, from Edinburgh, Scotland, have helped me write this book, The Case Against Fluoride, How a Hazardous Waste Ended Up in Our Drinking Water, and the Bad Science and Powerful Politics that Keep It There. You'll find that book is a mine of information. It should be available in September. It's published by a small publishing company in Vermont with a very good reputation. And meanwhile, you get a lot of other information from our website, which you heard from Casey, fluoridealert.org. It's a science-based website. Everything that we say in this book is referenced. Everything is documented. And we've written it for two audiences. We've written it for intelligent lay people that don't have a scientific training, so the language we've tried to keep as simple as possible, clear, readable, but at the same time we also want to satisfy the doctors and scientists. We want more doctors and more scientists actually reading the literature so that it's absolutely full of references, this book, to the scientific literature. There is also a 29-minute DVD, which I gave a copy to Terry. This, not the other one, this Professional Perspectives on Fluoridation. You can actually look at it online at our website, fluoridealert.org. There's about 15 scientists on there, 2 former scientists from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, a Nobel Prize winner from Sweden, Arvid Carlsson, who led the fight against fluoridation in Sweden, Sir Ian Chalmers from England, who's extremely important in terms of the quality of scientific evidence needed in medicine. The Lord Baldwin is a member of the House of Lords, who's chairman of the All-Party Committee on Fluoridation. Myself, Dr. Bill Osmondson, a dentist who practices in both Washington and Oregon, who for 25 years promoted fluoridation. We had 3 members of the National Research Council, Dr. Hardy Linebacker, I've referred to already, Dr. Kathleen Thiessen, and Dr. Bob Isaacson, and several other people on that. And I find it hard to believe that anybody looking at this videotape would countenance for one moment continuing fluoridation. It's common sense and science combined. What I would suggest as a strategy, when you talk to your doctors and dentists, don't go at this frontally. Don't walk into them expecting to have a rational discussion or debate about fluoridation. They will just use their credentials and make you feel like an idiot. They will try to stop this. Their eyes will roll. Oh, don't get into that. You know, that's, well, only crazy people. So you say, don't do that. You make a copy of this videotape. You're welcome to make as many copies, Terry, as you want. And you give it to them and say, look, I'm sure you have an open mind. And what I would love you to do, if you could just spend 28 minutes, I know you're busy, but if you could spend 28 minutes looking at this videotape, and then I'd like to talk to you about it. I'd like to hear your response to this, because I find this convincing. I've looked at this, and I don't want to drink fluoridated water anymore. I don't want my children to. And say, but I would like you to look at it, then persuade me that I don't have to worry about what's in that videotape. I think that's a very gentle way of possibly securing a victory here. But to go at it frontally, you'll just you'll hate each other. I'm afraid I've been through that. So let's go through this. Why is fluoridation a bad medical practice? First of all, you can't control the dose. They make a big thing about how tightly they control the concentration of fluoride at the waterworks. That's irrelevant. I mean, obviously you don't want more than you're supposed to have put into the water. But if you can't control how much water people drink, you can't control the dose. What's the difference? Concentration is milligrams per liter. And so if you have your water